And you are now live.
Hey, this is Michael. It is March 24th. It's NPA monthly meeting. Anthony or Jim, does anybody have a vision on whether or not we have any guests or public speakers?
As of right now, 0 public attendees.
All right. We usually give that a couple of minutes to see if somebody chimes in, but until then, let's push ahead to the January 27th meeting minutes. Does anybody have any comments on those minutes?
I don't, because I wasn't there.
Thank God. Yeah. That was glad you don't have any comments on that. No, hi, Eric. Hi, Vanessa. Okay. Now we got a full house. So Eric, January 27th meeting minutes, comments, accept as read.
Yeah, accept as read.
So a second for me to accept as read. Judd made that second. All in favor? Aye.
I'm upset.
The ayes have it. Tom abstains because he wasn't there, but that passes. And then the second thing is the minutes for Wednesday, February 24th. Comments, changes, corrections, thoughts.
Judd was either there or not there. He can't be in both categories.
I thought we took care of that.
I saw that.
That's awesome. Is that something you can fix, Dylene, for us?
Yes, I will. Sorry about that.
All right. So
I'll move approval.
I've moved. All right. Second. Thank you, Eric. All in favor?
Aye.
And the ayes have it. Good. Good. Wow, this is going very well so far. Hey, I got a quick chairman's report. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we talked about this month. It's kind of exciting coming into spring. A lot of interesting things are happening. A lot of stuff didn't make the agenda or is coming up for discussion now, but the things that aren't here, I just wanted to briefly talk about in the chairman's minutes, report. So we've noticed a problem with 15-minute parking. And I believe the problem stems from the fact that the 15-minute parking specifically on Washington Street was a very temporary thing for us. We put up a couple small signs. We made it 15 minutes for the pandemic. And what is happening is people are parking there and they don't realize what that is. They don't realize it's 15 minutes, or they do realize it. And my point is that we need to make it more permanent. Since it is permanent now, I think that we need to ask, I guess we need to ask Laz how we make that more permanent. There must be some sort of industry standard. We're thinking some sort of paint in the spot or some other designation that makes it very clear that you're parking in a 15-minute spot and the rules that are attached to that. Has anybody else had any issues with that?
Every time I drive by there, they're always filled, and it just makes me think that that nobody's paying attention to the 15 minutes. Are those sensors in the road along there? Do we have those there?
The pucks?
Yeah.
I think that puck experiment ended. Are we still using those pucks?
Well, we put a bunch in. Vanessa, do we have those? What's the status of those pucks? I mean, it sounds like an enforcement issue to me, but
it's not really an enforcement issue. What Jessica's got 3 people separately that have contacted her that have screwed it up. One person has parked there and went and put 2 hours worth of time in the meter and walked away and got a ticket after 15 minutes because they didn't realize it was a 15-minute spot. And then somebody else had a similar issue that I don't remember exactly. Jessica is going to come in to the meeting when she can. Everybody's at the BET meeting right now, but
Those red bags, Mike, those red bags on the opposite side of the street where you physically can't park, they're locked on, right?
I believe they are. Yes, Rocky?
Yes, they are locked, correct.
Yeah.
So we could move the red bags over this. That person must have lifted the bag up to put money in it, that white plastic bag. They
don't
have
know.
bags on them, so somebody can't just walk up and put money without moving a bag.
Are they bagged on the east
I
side?
don't think they're
White-
bagged on the
white-
east side, are
yeah,
they?
They're white plastic bags.
The
They
15
are.
minutes, the 15 minutes are bagged with a white bag, and the ones for the dining area are bagged with a red bag.
And the red ones they have a lock on them, right?
That is correct, yes.
So minimally, if we could just move the red ones over to that side, because you can't park on the other side because the barriers are there.
Well, can't we unbag the meters and program the meters for 15 minutes?
Well, Judd, I think, and again, it's just the chairman's report, but I think what we need to do maybe is put on the agenda that we have to make those 15 minutes permanent in some way now.
Yeah, no, I
Because
agree.
they're not just, right, because it's not just a temporary situation. I guess the mayor's office and the town is trying to figure out exactly what to do with the west side of all the parking there, but it's definitely not going to be parking.
Right.
They're going to give them back to the restaurants and they're going to make it a little more permanent situation.
I mean, is that
So-
the desire, Mike, to have all those spaces remain 15 minutes permanently?
Say that again, Stop.
Is that the desire of the board to have all those spaces remain 15 minutes permanently?
No, I want to make them regular parking, but it's not up to me. That's something that the mayor's office did, and we don't really have a say in it. We're just kind of reacting to it.
Do we need to take action on something immediately, or are you saying
No.
it's on an agenda for later to discuss?
Put this on the agenda for later. Again, it's just part of the chairman's report that I'm just
Oh,
talking about
right,
something that we're
right.
going to have to talk about. You're going to see it next month, but I want you to be thinking about it.
Okay. all right.
The other thing I want you to be thinking about is we had a quick discussion, but this is going to go on the agenda for next month as well. And that is cell phone charging stations in the train stations, both train stations. Seems to be a need and it seems like a good idea. But we want to talk a little bit about that. As a matter of fact, Jim and Garrett went ahead and did some research on what we could do there and some of the equipment that we could put, but it's something that I think is a good idea that we should talk about. Again, not so, and the reason why it's not on this month's agenda is because this month we're gonna discuss and vote on the 22 operating budget. And so I kind of saved space for that. The rest of the stuff we can catch up to next month. One of the other things that's not on the agenda that we want to talk about for next month and we want to vote on and really next month is the removal of the bollards on Wall Street. That's something that we've been talking about unofficially, but apparently there is a possibility that can happen, and we want to pursue that and see if we can do that. Actually, Jessica is kind of heading that up, I think, with Jim. I don't know, Jim, do you know about the ballard thing, right?
Yeah, I do. So
Yeah.
Jessica and I had a number of conversations about it, and I've also had a conversation with the local councilman in the area. There's not many cities that do it. And truthfully, the placement of the bollards is that they're on each side of the parking stall. So you essentially could just pull right through them anyway, right? So they're not really blocking a vehicle from going in there. And I think part of it is just to create less clutter that's on the street that makes it a little bit more attractive to be there.
Are these the back end things, those big
Yeah.
things?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
I never.
So Jim, I think one of the things that we're going to have to do is go back to the city, maybe engineering or Vanessa, somebody to talk about, because they were the ones who demanded them. And we want to make sure that, you know, we're not stepping on any, you know, that there's not some sort of insurance law or some sort of something going on there, but we're doing that research now, and on next month's agenda, you'll see it there for further discussion and possible action. All right. So let's get into the financial and operating reports so we can move down the line and get to our budget. Stati, you want to run through your PowerPoint?
So, let me share my screen.
Are you shareable?
It's not allowing me to. Host has to enable me.
Let me enable you right now.
Thank you, Anthony.
All right, you should be able to now.
Yeah. How can I find file? All right, bear with me here. Sorry.
You okay, Seth? Is it the new glasses?
Oh, this happened to me last time. I have it open too. For some reason. There we go. Now I think it'll work.
There you go. Yep.
Lovely.
Lovely. All right. So I won't get into every location unless you want to again, but I mean, overall, you know, the finances are still in this recovery mode. We're off on the revenue side about almost 50%. The expense side is off about 24% compared to last year. You know, demands are down almost 50% as well compared to last year. As far as pay by sell activity, we're still seeing activity there. It's been about 77. Well, let me go step back. 77% of the revenue has been from credit cards. The average transaction that we've got from pay by sell is $2.56 compared to pre-COVID, which was about $3.44. Number of transactions are down almost 40% compared to last year, and from the revenue perspective, it's off about 58% compared to last year.
Yeah.
There was a question at the last board meeting. I think it was Jim that asked what kind of adoption rates or penetration rates we're getting from pay by sell.
Yeah.
And so it's actually pretty interesting. It varies by location, as you would expect. Average across the system on a consolidated basis, that's when you take out the train station and Maritime Garage, because we don't accept that there because they're gated. It's about 24% on transactions and about 35% when it comes to revenue. But that doesn't really, tell the whole picture. If you start looking at some locations, it ranges from 10% of transactions are pay by sell at Liberty Square to East Norwalk, where all of them are at 100%. But outside of those, the railroad station overflow lot is at 45%, and Haviland's at 42%. So that's really good. And you have some of the other ones that are somewhere in between.
Steph, we lost your report up on the screen.
Oh, did you? I don't know why.
I don't know. We got your folders.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
yeah, I'll just go down through the agenda. So let me get back to where I was. You know, permits are still down, but on the revenue side, it's kind of leveled off. You can still see it following seasonal trends. You know, maritime, we're still off, but again, following seasonal trends. And I think once June comes around, we're going to see that spike just like we do every year.
Boy, I hope so. Let's spike it up, baby.
Yeah, we're going to need it. You know, back on the revenues when we were in expenses, on the expense side, we said we were off. But this month especially, we had, you know, a big variance because of snow removal costs.
Right.
So next month, that shouldn't be there. So hopefully we'll get back on to a positive trend, or at least heading that way for the end of the year. Webster, same thing. A lot of this business is a function of activity at the railroad station. So that's why the variances here are more than you'll see it at like a Javelin, where there's more consistent demand there from residents and people patronizing bars and restaurants. That goes for North Water as well. The railroad
Jesus
station,
Christ.
as you can see, yeah, they're taking a beating still.
Hey, Jim, do you know anything more about the ridership update? Is any more than 15, 18%?
Still hovering at the 15 to max like a 20%. Yeah.
Okay.
I will make sure that we have an update for next month because now that more people are getting, you know, the dual vaccines, we'll see if that has impacted anything. So I will make sure that you have that for next meeting.
Yeah, we want to watch that really closely. Okay.
And you know, the same trend over at East Norwalk. You know, Yankee Doodles not faring as bad, but like we said, everywhere's been down.
Yeah.
Wall Street's been that bright spot because of the activity with the restaurant. And if I'm going too fast, just stop me if somebody wants to focus in on a particular location. Library lot's been closed still, so there's nothing going on there. And Liberty Square still has activity, even though the pay by sell activity is not so high as a percentage of activity.
Yep.
Hey, staff,
Yes.
what at the Yankee Doodle Garage revenue, page 11, you show a huge spike last July and August.
Yeah, that was from a payment from the car dealers.
Right. That was a catch-up payment, right? Yeah.
They made it was in August. They made like a 2-month or 3-month payment that they were behind on.
So we won't see that again.
No, that was just timing of payments because we're on a cash basis. That's just what we collected.
Okay.
It was for prior. And I forgot what it was that we actually increased the rate. That's not why this happened, but I just don't remember what the date was when we did that. Maybe we could footnote it. Rocky, jump in if there's something that that I missed that we're working on. Enforcement's down as you would expect. We still have collections going on from delinquent citations. So Duncan's doing a good job there. And the Judd Alley report still
There it is.
shows good ratios. We are there.
We're spiking right now, Judd. No, we're not. Just kidding. Okay.
Hey, Stas,
Yes.
could you give us a average column over here on the right for future reports?
Sure. And an average of the ratio or an average?
Yeah, of the rate. Yeah, it's the ratio that interests me the most.
Okay.
Yep.
So
You
like
know-
an average of the average.
I guess, for the previous fiscal years, yeah, if we could just get an average for the year, I think.
So let me make a note of that.
So
So
1.67,
basically, right over here is where you're talking about,
I
Judd.
think, yeah,
Average it out for each year.
yep. And this February, 1.67 is well within a range. It's not high, it's not low.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. It'd be, I haven't seen this analysis done at any of our other, municipal facilities, but maybe I'll reach out to some counterparts and see if they actually do track that, or if they don't, maybe they can, just
Yep,
so we can get some benchmarks or something.
okay.
Just give Judd the credit for being the trendsetter.
Yes. So this board, the Norwalk Parking Authority has certainly been trendsetter for a lot of things.
That's
Good and bad.
Judd will be a headliner at the next convention.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. There's a call for presentations that may be closed by now, but we'll do that. The customer courtesy program is still, strong. The impacts of it, they're certainly good to the public, but they are providing a financial hit to the authority. But that program is back, is moving back towards I'd say the normal program now that things are opening up again. So you'll start to see these numbers go down a little bit. I'm not sure where we are for February, but Rocky's in control of that. Pay by sell, we touched on a little bit. Is that too small?
Oh,
We're not seeing the lines above everything every year, so we're still not back to where we were, but we still have, I think, a great adoption rate. I think there's a lot of activity with pay by sell, and have text to park too. It's which is a nice option that doesn't have as many users, but there's some footing there. On the adjudications, there's still a lot of calls on ticket issues, but the hearings are still not going on, so we still have to figure out how we're gonna do that through Zoom. So I think we probably just need to huddle up again with Jessica and Jim and Garrett and see how we want to handle that.
Have you guys talked at all about that this month, Jim?
I haven't. I don't know if Jim
Oh.
talked to us or not.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a topic. We got to figure out how to get caught up with that.
So
Oh,
that,
shit.
but I do have, let's see, a couple other items that were on the list from last month. We talked about the pay by cell, the MTA trends. There was a question on the electricity costs. I think Rocky may have already answered this at the last meeting, but
Yeah.
to see if those lighting changes actually yielded some savings, and going back to 18 to through to 20, it was down about 16%. So we did see some savings, and it didn't cost us anything at the end of the day for the new lights.
Right.
And then there was discussion about the impact of rates, but we're not. That's for another day, right?
Yes.
And let's see. The last thing was about the park mobile rate structure. Did you want to talk about that in the 15-minute increment?
I do want to talk about that. Yes. You want to talk about that right now? Are you
So-
done?
Yeah, and I have a couple other initiatives too that I wanted to let everybody know about too. As we reported before, the park mobile rate structure and rate bands could be changed anytime. It was it's $1 now, and the question came up: can we reduce it to 15-minute increments or 30-minute increments? But it's kind of dictated by the rate structure. So 15-minute might not work mathematically, but 30 minutes does. It could be 75 cents, in Sono, and 25 cents in Wall Street. Otherwise, it comes out to like 37.5 cents for every 15 minutes, and obviously it doesn't work when you start talking about how you put coins in, or
Yeah.
how you break up that rate on their platform. So that's something you guys are going to have to consider, and let us know which way you want to go.
Do me a favor, Judd. Shoot up to the top of the report again on that first page. I just, I guess it's not page 1, but it's the first page of your report, the synopsis.
Oh,
Just go over again for me where we stand based on the previous year. Where you said we were 50%,
so
51% under budget.
we are 51
It just
under budget for the month, and year to date about 50% on revenue.
50% off the revenue.
Yep.
And we've been able to push down our expenses about 31%. So the difference of that is what we're making up on with our fund balance.
Right.
And it's still trending in that direction. But the hope is that as the sun stays out and spring comes and everybody gets their shots, we can see an uptick in all this. Otherwise, there's going to be a hole in our budget come June, right?
Right. So the budget that's going to be your discussion later on in the meeting. I mean, you're going to see that's basically like a break-even budget.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a couple other exciting things that we're kind of working on, and one of them was this, the real-time communication on the handhelds. That was something I think Eric brought up. that Rocky's working with our vendor on to get that going, because we have the capability to do it. So they're going to be doing that. One of the other things we're doing to try to get people to pay tickets and make it easier for them and not have to come in is we are going to be putting a QR code on the front of the tickets. So if somebody does receive a citation, they could scan it with their phone and go right to the payment portal and pay it. And what we're also trying to do is work into the programming where if they do pay within 24 hours, they do get that $5 off.
Yeah.
So that'll be a nice addition to what's going on. And then one other change to the website, Jim had noticed that the on-street rates weren't there as like a location. So we can't hover over the streets, but we got Snyder Group to add that to the list. So you'll see the rates there for all of Wall Street area and all of Sono. So that's what we've got so far. Anything else?
Well, I like the QR code idea. I think that's very, I mean, that the easier we can make it to pay, the better. I think absolutely. So. And
yeah, and we're also, I mean, Rocky, you want to talk about maybe what we're thinking of with the handheld LPR?
Yes, for the on-street, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, on the off-street facilities, we were using the LPR, vehicle-mounted LPR system. But on the street, when the enforcement goes out, they actually have to type in the license plate number of each vehicle they found as in violation. So we're working with the vendor now where the enforcement actually can scan the plate number with the handheld that they have. So we're going to roll that out as soon as that gets finalized. That makes it much easier for the enforcements to enforce the on-street spaces, as well as getting a clear picture of the vehicle, the license plates.
All right, so we make it easier to get tickets and easier to pay tickets. I love it. All right.
Yeah, we'll keep the first part of that quiet.
Right. Well. But the LPR system, the handheld one, will make it less any error when play an LPO's type and plate number. That actually eliminates that error that gets created. That one.
Yeah, that's outstanding because it's all about accuracy, and right now we are extraordinarily accurate with our ticket giving. There's practically no mistake tickets going out right now, so that's awesome. Okay.
And then following up on that real-time communication, Eric, I know you brought this up for 15 minutes, $5 off for payment within 24 hours. So right. We did test, the real-time communication. Now it's just the programming, and by next board meeting, we should be able to update how many online same-day payments were processed.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah, thank you. That's great.
It's going to be important if you can hit the QR code and pay the ticket too.
Oh, that's great.
That it gets into the system.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anything else, Staff?
That's it, unless anybody has questions for
us. Can I ask you a question about our idea? We were tossing around the idea of doing a cool sort of a garden boxes on the roof of the Maritime Center. Did that idea ever get legs or get talked about more?
We didn't really do anything with it, only because kind of. Oh wait, am I muted or no?
No, I know we kind of fell into the pandemic a little bit harder than we thought.
I mean, in full stride, we just never got to it again. But the idea was, to make it like vegetable gardens up there on the top of Maritime Garage, and maybe do some outside events up there, you know, at the same time. So we can pick that up again if you think there's, you know, a demand for it or a desire for it. We'll pick that back up. I thought that would be really a great idea, especially for the summer.
I mean, I like the idea. I don't know if we have time now, but you're right. The pandemic kind of screwed up everything, but I don't want to forget about it. I think it should be something that we, you know, we talk a little bit more about and research a little bit more, because I think it would be a cool way of sort of using some space that's not really being used, and a little bit of a give back there. That's
right. Yeah, and it wasn't even, we were talking about only using few spaces. It was really the dead spaces in the corner,
right.
Maybe up at the top, you know, a couple there. But, all right, so we'll kind of keep that on the burner.
Yeah.
Is the idea, Mike, that these would be community type vegetable garden?
No. The last team would sort of manage them. And then we would do something a little more philanthropic with the results, you know, with the bounty. And it was just briefly spoken about a little while ago, months ago, but it just stuck in my head as a really cool thing to talk about. So I didn't want to forget about it.
Good.
All right. Thank you, Stoth.
All right.
So under old business is, I don't know why it's under old business. Yeah, I guess it's old business, is our 22 operating budget. Stothy, you want to leave your screen up and go to that budget?
Yep.
Is it it's in the packet down here. I can't scroll.
Is it in the packet, or do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, if you can pull it up, it'll be easier to read.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? I know we've spoken about the 22 budget enough, I think. Anybody have any new topics or questions about our budget? I kind of like the silence. That's very good. Eric?
No, I don't.
Yeah, we've really been through it. So this is an action item that I'd actually like to vote on. I'm sorry, I'm trying to stop an alarm here that's not stopping.
Can you see it or not?
Yeah, right there. Okay. Huh. So as I said, we did discuss it. It's 59,700 or 59,000. It's $5,978,000. Yeah, sorry. Moving through the next year, and the hope is that you know, if it does come back, we can begin to replenish our fund balance with anything that comes in over that. But as I said, we're going to have to really work pretty hard this second half of the year, talking about you know, how to stop the downfall of the downslide of our budget so far. So I like the budget. I think we did a good job with it, and I am going to call for a vote that we pass this tonight. Can I get a motion from somebody?
I'll move approval. I agree with you, Mike. This is a pretty tight looking budget, but I'll move approval.
Second it.
Thank you, Tom. Eric seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is a unanimous aye. So we'll pass that budget on to I guess to Jessica when she gets back, or Tom or Jim. They, as I said earlier, the BET thing is going on, so those guys are bouncing back and forth. Hey, there's Jessica. All right. So
Night. Can I be next? Because I think that you skipped me.
well, I didn't skip you, but you're welcome to be next. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I thought that you went to old business, Mike. It's just that also I need to switch back to the BT meeting.
Understood,
So-
understood. No, go ahead.
I just have to report a couple of things on the capital. Next meeting, we're gonna ask you guys to take action on the bid openings for definitely one project and hopefully two. So Friday, we're gonna be advertising the caulking at the South Norfolk train station. All the documents are already in place. So we are advertising this on Friday. We have a walkthrough on April 8th, and then we have the bid opening the day before your next meeting. Just to remind you guys, now we need to go through parking authority, and then I have to bring it back to the DPW committee and also common council for approval. Before, we just did the parking authority, but although it's an enterprise money, legal and purchasing is requesting us to go through the 3 boards. So I need to make it happen during the month of April and May. And so May, I have to get to the agenda by your next meeting so we can run on May through DPW and common council. So the next one is definitely the caulking. And remember, we have about 1.3 on our capital budget. So we're probably we budget around 800 to this project. And then the second project will be the Webster lot. I was very hopeful that also we would advertise this week, but we have to tweak a little bit the drawings. So there are some comments that went back to the consultant, and I'll see if we can advertise next week. And depending on when we advertise, we may be able to put on the agenda for you next month. So, and with that, we're gonna pretty much take care of all the capital improvements that we were planning to do this year with that money. Just to refresh your mind, we didn't request any extra funds for this year,
Right.
because we had that balance, but with those 2 projects, plus the paving that needs to happen at Webster lot after we're done with the drainage improvements, we have to also fund for the paving that is part of the match of the grant that we received.
Did we fund that? We did fund that. Yes.
Yes, we have
We did. We
around like a little one. So we should have enough to cover all that.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know if anyone has any questions.
I just have one, Vanessa.
Sure.
Could you go back to having to go through 3 boards for something? What is that and why?
Legal, I don't know if you remember, Eric, but about a couple of years ago, when we get the contract to legal, after you guys approved, legal thought that because we're using capital money, we shouldn't really have to go through all the steps to approve. And then we even went back and had to reapprove a couple of things that you guys approve as capital. So now, just to avoid, I went to talk to purchasing again, and they said that they are more comfortable if we be very transparent and just bring in front of the boards. So that's what we are doing. So you guys approve first, then we're just gonna go in front of GPW, and all items related to TMP also comes for DPW approval, all capital projects. So we're just following what we will have done if it was just a regular DPW or TMP project. I think that this will avoid us delaying when we get this contract executed. We did the same with the on-call for the engineer and all that.
So is it going to evolve into something where one of us has to go present things to these?
No, I do that for you. So I'll present for both.
Okay.
If they have any questions, then, but usually when we present those items, we say that was already approved by the parking authority. That's why I would like to get you guys first on the agenda, although it would make easier for the calendar to get you guys at the end of the month. But then we're gonna approve first with you. Then when we present, we say that those were projects, is the enterprise fund. And we're just running through the committees. I don't expect many questions, to be honest.
And these projects are necessary. I mean, they're waterproofing maintenance issues and that have to be dealt with.
Yeah,
It's not something that we put up.
It's not the projects that concern me. It's just now we're adding 3 more steps before something.
Right.
Exactly,
You
I
know,
agree.
can
But
get
the
done.
thing is that, you know, who writes the contract is the city legal. So, and if he's gonna write and we'll have him to write, he want to make sure that everyone saw.
Okay.
I'm just following what he asked us to do a couple of years ago, and I double checked with them before, and they said that's what they would like to do. Again, I'm happy if Mike, if you want to bring it up with legal and purchasing, if that can be avoided, I'm happy about it. But for now, we're just trying to avoid future problems and try to get this contract executed in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that consistent, Mike, with our governing documents? I mean, are we? I don't know. It sounds like something new, and it sounds like we're taking something that wasn't broken and fixing it.
It's not us though. It's something we're being asked to do. So, right.
And
it's in
you know,
addition
Eric,
to.
just to be fair, I have to say that the WPCA that has exactly the same, it's also an agency, right? Last month, we approved 2 capital projects under the same thing. They approved it as WPCA, brought in front of DPW, and then Common Council. So I think that they are just trying to make sure that, you know, all that money, everybody sees where it's going.
And I think, and stop me if I'm mistaken, Vanessa, but Eric, you're welcome to go to those things with her.
Oh, yeah.
And represent. I probably won't be able to say much, but you can. I can sign you up.
Yes,
That's okay.
I can add the whole group if you guys want it.
We'll all go
And
together.
also
Yes.
But when we do those projects, I just want to let you know that the projects come out like on the cover sheet, comes now as a TMP project, right? Because parking is under TMP, but then comes City of Norwalk and Norwalk Parking Authority. So on the cover sheet of the drawings comes the mayor's name and also Mike's name as the chairman of the parking authority. So we're following exactly the same format that we had in the past. We're just going through these 2 approvals. Sometimes we believe that it's easier just to accommodate than to fight, you know, so this way we ended up actually expediting the whole process instead of kind of getting delayed at the end and not awarding the contract. So with that, I think that that's all that I have to report. I don't know if you guys have any further questions.
Doesn't sound like it. Thank you very much, Vanessa. Are you going to bounce back and forth as well?
Yes, I just want to hear about this discussion about painting the Javelin. I wasn't aware of that.
What's?
Okay. Stay with us. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm just, I got to reposition the agenda on my laptop. This whole digital world is getting me. Okay, I got it. There we go. All right. Thank you, Vanessa. And we went through old business. So before we get to new business, I want to give Jim a couple of minutes here on the floor, and Jim, why don't you start with your idea to repaint and refresh, as you had mentioned, the Javelin deck.
Sure. So thank you. So so for the committee, largely this, the list of things that we'll talk about is, or you want me to go just the list, the discussion that was actually on new business, Mike? Did you want me to cover that or just cover the other items that weren't on this?
I have a discussion and action on parking
Javelin?
meetings.
Okay.
No, on parking meetings, parking meters on Washington, which we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
On Bob Abriola's curation
Yep.
conversation. And actually, yes, there is the discussion and action on the Javelin deck painting. So those three things are coming up on the agenda. If there are, I think there are a number of other things
Sure.
that you wanted to speak briefly on, of new things, if we can.
So sure. So largely this comes from, a tour that I took of the facilities with Rocky and just some general observations, just coming into it. One of them was the 15-minute parking spaces. And I know that you're going to put it on the agenda for next month. Just a little food for thought from my end. So I did see the tickets. I think the tickets not only came from there, but I think we also had them from Wall Street, if
Right.
where they parked in front of the sign. So it wasn't just the fact that it was a bagged meter, it was the fact that it was there. My experience with 15-minute parking meters are, when you have pay parking, but then you have a specific one and it looks like everything else, it's very confusing for the end user. And I think in this case, it was confusing for them. They parked right in front of a sign but they paid for a longer period of time. So I would just this is your guys' vote, but just my experience in this is it's often better to, for the spaces that you want, because people tend to go in a 15-minute parking space thinking they can get something done in 15 minutes, but nothing ever happens in 15 minutes, right? You go in to pick something up, it lasts longer. You want to go get a coffee, then you end up talking to somebody and it's there. And it just leads to some frustration, which I think created in these three that rose last week. So my recommendation is that we would just charge for parking, and you can minimize those meters to be at a lower time, the 30-minute. I wouldn't propose anything lower than 30. But also what we did in Stanford to address the issue of restaurants and this, the new mode of pick up, drop off, and really want to be in environments of supporting them. We actually procured on a relatively low cost basis, $30 or $80. It was and we could even go into the lower model, I think, is a feather flag that just said pick up and drop off, right? So rather than a 15-minute parking space, I think if you want time, then you should be in a pay mode. But we could also do like pick up, drop off, which really just then supports the restaurants and pick up something that's quick and in and out. And the flag itself could have a 10 or 15-minute time limit associated, so we get people who are there. But that's much more visible, much different look and feel than every other space that's associated with it. I think we can solve what you're looking to do, but in a larger end, it's I think it gets confusing when we just have rows of pay parking, but yet there's going to be one that looks like everything else, but it's a 15-minute parking. So I know you're going to talk about more next month, but that was just my food for thought, and it was an item that I brought up. The other item, my great minds do think alike, and we did talk about it, but it was a discussion about adding charging stations to the train stations. And I saw that when I did a tour with Rocky, and it was absent. And I think we need people to recover from people will recover from the pandemic. They will return. We need them to return. They have to, right? And I think that when they return, we have to give them something much better than what they ever had before. All right, let's leave an impression on them. The model that we identified as a potential charging station would provide the charging station, phone charging opportunities, but also have a digital display that we could use to work with Snyder to actually promote the local area, things that are going on in that local area for Sono, in that local area for the East Avenue train station, and tie it into really branding the city, and but at the same time charge getting an amenity that is pretty much available in every other transit environment that you see out there. They're in the train station in New Haven. They're in it. They're in subway stations. You see them where people congregate, and I think it's an opportunity for us to capitalize and do something better. With that, the next item that I was looking for discussion and for maybe future item is a potential to rebrand the customer-facing portion of the parking authority, the Norwalk Parking Authority, as Park Norwalk, right? Because I don't think the average user cares about a parking authority. I don't think it means anything to them. I think the legality of a parking authority is there for our sake, right? But it doesn't mean anything to the end user. And what we want from them is to park, right? And we should park and brand it to where we are. I think it would also, look, in full transparency, I'm always transparent. So when I was in New Haven, we transitioned the New Haven Parking Authority, the customer focusing session, to Park New Haven. When I was in Stamford, we did Park Stamford. It's just a cleaner message. I think that the more consistency that we have in the state, it's going to be a little bit easier to do. And quite honestly, this was really kind of driven, as I went around and, I go up Haviland and I look at the Haviland parking deck. There's we have a Haviland parking deck, Norwalk Parking Authority, but Haviland parking deck doesn't mean anything to me. It actually looks like a private parking area, right? Haviland, it doesn't have that welcoming feel that I'm going to know that are there. It's a difficult parking lot to be because it's a deck and your portion to park is on a higher end. You don't necessarily see it. And I think we should just I would say that this is an opportunity for us to come back from low, usage of our facilities and just tell people like, we're here, we're new, we're clean, we're fresh, and we want you to park in Norwalk. And if that's going to be simple by just Park Norwalk, customer facing. I don't think it's not a legal end of it. It's just simply the customer facing branding that we put. So I'd love to maybe have further discussion on that, because I think that there's a lot of value to do that. And simultaneously, I think that we should sunset the parking meter logo. Because
God. And especially that stupid smiling one.
Right? Like, I'm going to give you a ticket, right? So, I just don't think it has that clean, fresh image that we want to present from a brand, right? So I think the whole thing is about, a little bit about a rebranding, and it's fresh and it's clean. And we welcome you back when you come here to a really great environment, and one that speaks to who we are. I just don't think that the meter logo does any of that, right? And then
it's even on one of the truck or one of the cars or something.
Yeah, I just don't. I think there's an opportunity for us to be better, right? And then additionally, again, it goes from our tour around, and it is the snow emergency signage, right? So, speaking with Rocky, we need the snow emergency signage because we need to make sure that we can tow the cars if they're in the overnight hours so that we could plow the snow, right? An event that largely happens once every 3 years, right? And, even in that period, it's only a couple of months that it's actually snowing, but yet all year long, if you drive down the road, what you really see is the big red says no parking. Right? So a quick flash of your eye just says no parking. And quite honestly, I saw that when I went to the Webster lot and I was like, why can't I park there? Right? And then below it in the white letters, when you look better, it says snow emergency. So all year long, we're looking at no parking, right? And when I think that we could better suit it for, both New Haven did this, Hartford did this. When there's a snow emergency, we put a little flashing blue light, and we could supplement that with a digital display. And only at that time, when we're calling a snow emergency, do we activate the digital display that says, no parking, snow emergency. So when we want them to do it, that's when we give them the opportunity to do it. But, I just think that it's a very unwelcoming message to drive by and see 100 no parking signs all over the place, particularly in Webster. I think that, we can send some references to some of the articles that were written on the snow ban, but both New Haven and Hartford saw considerable success with doing that, and only really highlighting it when the mayor declares a snow emergency. And I think for it, that was probably the highlight of the items that were not on the agenda that I wanted to bring up.
All right, so Jim, we will put these. Sorry, guys. Let me shut that off. We're going to put these things on the agenda for next month to talk about. Do me a favor.
Yep.
Talk to the Schneider Group in the next month and come to us next meeting with possible different visual look other
Right.
than our Mr. Meter.
Will do.
And have ready an image or a quick explanation of your vision of the snow emergency sign.
Will do. Perfect.
And we'll make them agenda items next month. All right.
Okay.
Nice. So let me go down the agenda again. New business A, discussion and action removing the parking signage for parking meters along the west-south side of the Washington Street in support of the outdoor dining. Now, guys, I mean, I know this is new on the agenda, but I think it's a brief conversation. If you walk down Washington Street and stop at either end and look, there are a lot of parking signage where the mayor's office has given all of those spaces to the restaurants. And since that is now becoming a more permanent feature in one way or another, I'd like to see if we can make a motion to remove all those. They all, right?
Yeah.
You don't even want to talk about it. You just want to make the motion. Okay.
We've got sign. You can't move down here without bumping into the sign.
Is there any discussion?
Not for me.
No, remove them. Make a motion, Eric.
I move.
I'll second it.
I'll third it.
Judd has seconded the motion. Daleen, the motion is basically exactly what's in 8A.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I do have a unanimous vote for that. Thank you very much. 8B.
And Mike, it
Yes,
doesn't.
sir.
Maybe it's not just Washington, because here on North Main, there's a small area, barriered off that.
Brooklino's.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's any signs in there or not, but if there are, it'd be good just to clean. it.
Let's wait and see for next month, because there is a small area there, and I also hear that there are a few other vendors requesting this year for space.
Okay.
So let's see what happens there, but I absolutely agree, and we could always take action again.
Okay.
But let's see what happens. But I think cleaning up Washington Street of the signage, I think is fair to do, right? Okay.
The only sign we're missing is don't trip on the signs.
Rocky has a question.
The signs on Washington Street, the no parking signs, they're posted by the city, so we're gonna have to contact DPW for those signs to be removed.
Wait, not the no parking ones, the ones that talk about parking and
Hours.
the hours and hour signs, basically.
3 ways to pay, all that stuff, right?
Those on Washington have been removed. The ones on Washington Street right now are the snow emergency and no parking signs that are posted. So that's got to be removed by the DPW, because those are not on signs.
So Mike, I will
Actually,
bring it
now
up to the.
It's CMP that do those signs.
So
Yeah.
Jim's on
I will
that.
bring it up for approval onto the next traffic authority meeting to get those removed.
Okay.
While they're out of commission.
All right. 8B is a discussion on Jim's idea to freshen the Javelin lot with paint. Not that we're gonna paint, but somebody.
So again, this was just, my observations in driving around. The overhead lights, the blue overhead lights along with the blue fence have seen better days. It's pretty faded. With all the brick that's back there, a very complementary black to those, I think would modernize that. And again, really set the tone for when we welcome people back, and in strong order that we welcome them back to a really clean, fresh environment. So it was about to, for Laz to take on, to acquire 3 quotes to have those painted.
And is that part of, I mean, it's not our capital budget. I guess that's just, where does that come from? Where does that money come from? I guess that would be
Is that your just regular maintenance, Staffy? Do you have a maintenance?
Depending on the cost of it. I mean, when we were in better times, projects like those, we would just pay out of operations. But depending on how the prices come back and considering what, the financial situation is, I'm not sure how you want to handle that.
All right, so you're getting some quotes, and maybe we'll hear back from you.
Yeah, so we'll get
next
together with
month.
Jim and find out exactly what we want priced out, and then we'll go and get it.
Okay, good. So then there isn't a vote on that. We're still going to push ahead and get some more information on it, and then talk again about it next month. All right?
Yep.
May paint Javelin. 8C is a discussion and action concerning contracting with Bob Abriola about curating art in the Sono station and at the Yankee Doodle Garage. So whose idea was this?
This was me again. Sorry.
All right. God damn it, Jim.
So
tell us a little bit about Sono and what's your thought?
So I did have a conversation with Bob about the art that he curates in the Maritime Center now, and in walking through Sono, I understand, I know that we have an art exhibit there, but a stagnant art exhibit does little for a user. And I thought, since we're doing it there, shouldn't we really be promoting that more? And because Bob talked to me about all the artists that he has in an overflow, and an opportunity to potentially do something there as well. And then I brought up to him the ability to do something in the Yankee Doodle Garage, and we looked at a locking frame to put in the stairwell. And this is just an idea that I'd love to do, but like, if we had locking frames and we have an art and then avenue building over at at Wall Street, but have frames that go all the way up the stairwells, which are otherwise just this vacant hardscape that goes down, not very attractive. But if we fill those frames with art from our kids in our schools, so from kindergarten all the way up to Norwalk Community College, right? That they could feature poetry, they could feature artwork that they do, but it would just, and Bob would, told me that he could work, and he has, contacts both at Norwalk Community College and within our school system, that he can get to them. And then our kids get to get their stuff hung in our garages, that is consistent, and it could change all the time. And we get to feature the kids, and they get to go to a garage and show somebody there that their work that gets hung up. I think it could be kind of cool, promotes our kids, promotes the city of Norwalk in its entirety, from kindergarten all the way up to college level, who could be doing some graphic design and stuff, and maybe give them a little bit of an opportunity to hone their skills and get something that says, I had art that was hung in one of the Norwalk garages.
All right, do you think we could tie in somehow the conference room that we built?
Certainly, yeah. Yeah, the frames that we have are, that we identified are relatively low cost frames. So they come in 24 by 36, but they also come in larger sizes. So I think the conference room might be a larger size one, but then that could have it in there, and he would work at curating it and just transitioning it over. He thought it was a really cute idea to do with the kids. I've always wanted to do this, and didn't have the bandwidth to take it on. I saw it here as a great opportunity to do it, and maybe somehow we also drive somebody to the Yankee Doodle Garage so that they get to see their kids' art that's hung there. And
As long as
most
they-
definitely,
As long as they pay,
most definitely they have to pay.
pay for parking. I mean, come on.
Could we
All right,
also,
cool.
I mean, can't we do this in all the garages with time?
So I think, you mean, our kids stuff? Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we have 3 structures with stairwells, right?
Yeah, and I think the stairwells are largely, this empty thing. So I think we could give it a shot and see it. And I think we just need to, see Bob, how much Bob has the bandwidth to make it happen. But the stairwells, otherwise, like when you walk down them, they're just right. They're stairs and wall. And this gives you a little bit of like a little interest when you're coming down, and just says, oh, that's kind of cute, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
Adding that to the, all right, I got 2 more quick things, and then we'll move on to 9. Number 1, bike racks were approved. Judd, you weren't here for that, but I wanted to hear a little bit more about how many bike racks you guys had. And I had another question, actually, maybe in conjunction with, somebody brought up the fact that, you can make bike racks into any shape, size, cool image, almost sculpturesque. Is there any opportunity for us to do something there that's a little more than just a iron bike rack? Or
We've already purchased 5 of them, and they're pretty standard bike racks.
all right.
But,
How many of them do you want to put on our property?
well, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I guess Vanessa brought up the idea of the already approved
Right.
bike share locations, which I actually prefer to the locations that we picked out, or picking places within parking authority property.
Right, but that is only, I think it was only 3 locations that actually that had an effect on us.
Oh, Vanessa, any chance you're there? No?
Judd, we're doing some.
I'm here.
Okay. I don't remember how many bike share locations we had, but I think it was a lot more than 3. And
I think so also, because we had in front of the aquarium, in front of the mall.
But those are not NPA.
yeah, so my
Right, and the MPA was only near the library, that it kind of, it's not really NPA, but was nearby. Yankee Doodle, and
South
East
Norwalk train station.
Avenue, South Norwalk, and then in front of the garage.
Was it on one on each side of the South Norwalk train station? Is that what it was?
No, it was only on one side.
Only on the main side. Yeah.
I have to check. Let me look at my, hold on, I'm at the office, so I'll check.
South Norwalk train station has a good supply of existing bike racks.
Right, that's
So I don't think we need to add to that. But the other locations, again, for the bike share, I think are great. And that's about all I can tell you right now. I'll have to get back to you at the next meeting. I talked to Nancy about it, and Colin, who I think was very involved with that too.
So Judd, we're doing some furnishings in the park at 50 Washington.
Yep.
And there's a spot we've identified where some bike racks could go.
I know Colin talked to you about that.
You should talk to the bike commission with that thing. Get
yeah,
a hold of one of those racks.
Yeah, we've got a spot where some could go.
Okay, I think the racks we have are pretty utilitarian. like schoolyard bike racks that can be bolted down. In the park there at 50 Washington Street, I think, temporarily until we could get something a little better looking that goes
That's fine.
with the
Yeah.
design there.
Yep.
Oh.
So if I talk to you or Colin or whomever, we can zero in on that.
Yeah.
All right. And the last thing I wanted to mention was that when we turned on the pay 50-cent hour at Wall Street, we voted it in as a temporary experiment. And so now time has come to make a decision on, do we leave it 50 cents an hour? Do we change it? Do we put it up? Do we, so that is coming on to the agenda for next month as well. And I want you guys to think about that a little bit. I am trying to nominalize a little bit how the street parking goes in this city. I'd like to see, it's my thought that everything should be a buck an hour across the board. But that means lowering some and raising some others. And it's a lot of steps and a lot of gears in motion there. But it will be on the agenda for discussion for next month. So think about that a little bit. It also helps when we do half hour or 15-minute, because the hour splits correctly for the money. But again, we can talk about that next month. Just be thinking about it for me. All right. Does anybody have anything else before I move on?
Mike, on 8C, did you need a vote on that at all? It says action. Or no?
I think what we decided was that Jim was going to come back to us with a solid plan. It will be back on the agenda and we'll vote on it then.
Okay, fine.
I'll get you the contract from Bob
Right.
and you can vote on the contract. So we'll have that.
All right.
Hey, Mike,
Tom?
just for
Yes.
clarification, on the Park Mobile rates, did you make a decision? Is there a vote?
No, not the Park Mobile rates, but the Park Mobile breakdown
Rate bands, yeah.
bands, right?
Right.
So the idea for that was to go to insert a half hour option.
Okay.
And I don't know that we need a vote for that, do we?
Well, I think it's a great idea.
Something that Jessica would know about anyway. But so let's take a vote on that though, because that is something that we wanted to clear out this month.
Yeah, make it happen.
So let's make a motion to add in the half hour option on the Park Mobile app.
Okay.
Can I have a second for that?
I'll second.
Tom seconded that. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that is a unanimous, so we don't need to continue. Then let's pass that and ask Laz, yes, please, can you ask Park Mobile to add that as an option onto the app for us?
Consider it done.
Thank you. Tom?
Number 9 is my favorite. I move we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Eric, second that. All those in favor? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Guys, we'll be speaking to you this month. Have a great evening.
Awesome.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Everybody.
Good night.
Good night.